Finally, I get to give into my dark urges to pull shards. Hello, everyone. Bront here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends. And as you may have seen in the latest video, I have decided I am not going to be going on my free to play for the fusion. I think the fusion is interesting. I think it can help a lot of people. I think it is a much better champion for an account that is at least slightly more developed than this one, where this one needs different types of champs than what that champion is. That champion is a good support champ that can slide in with a good team around them. I still don't quite have the good team around this round to support them really. So we are going to be going for shard pulls instead. It is a 1+1. It is going to be fun. So we are going to jump right into that right now. We have this wonderful event here of a 1+1 legendary with some progressive boosts on a couple of good champions. Now, I waited until today to make this video for a couple reasons. One, I didn't know what the fusion was, and I did not want to use my shards and then find out the fusion was going to be one I needed those shards for. And two, I like these champions better than the ones that were available yesterday. So Podrick is one of my absolute favorite supports of all time. He will be absolutely great on this account. He's an amazing support. He will help me a ton in dungeons because he gives that increased speed aura. It's absolutely huge. Stock the Broken is certainly another one that is interesting to think about. I think he's a very, very good champion. He gives you a bunch of poisons and then explodes them, and he's going to be very good for an early to mid game account as well. And in fact, he could give me some opportunities to possibly solo some stuff early on, which would allow me to use food and farm dungeons while I have the food as well. Absolutely amazing. Elva is a great champion endgame, one of the best champions you can use for Chimera, very good in Hydra, good in Arena. She's not necessarily the top tier in any one location, but she's like in the top 10 in a lot of areas just because of everything she does. Absolutely amazing champion. I am certainly tempted by her. Wither's good, but I'd rather have any of these three. Lady of Wrath is good, but again, I'd rather have any of the first three. Podrick, as I've said, is in many cases one of the best supports in the game. He brings you healing. He brings you the ally attack, which is absolutely huge. He gives you increased speed. He's usable in arena. He's usable all over the place. He gives you a huge turn meter boost too, and he's got a passive that is great for support. So I think that Podrick is probably the best pick for me, but it is close. The other thing I think I'd like Podrick on a little bit better than some of the other champions is Stock is really going to need the books to land to place his poisons before he becomes really good. Elva is solid, but she does need some books to bring her revive down to a reasonable level as well. Podrick is solid, but unbooked Podrick is still very good. His cooldowns aren't absurdly long, and he doesn't possibly not do anything that I count on him for doing if he doesn't have the books. So I think Podrick will work fine with low book or unbooked, which is something I need to think about on this account. So we are going to pull for Podrick, and we are going to pull 14 shards here because I'm going to take a chance and see if I can get a legendary. Now, I'm actually about 40 some odd shards into Mercy on this account, and so I'm not necessarily guaranteed anything. I would love an interesting epic, and unfortunately, pulling outside of a 2x means I'm not guaranteed an epic. But this has got a good chance of getting me something interesting. I've got a decent chance of getting a bonus legendary out of it. By decent, it's a 0.5% chance. But the chance that I could get 2 legendaries that could absolutely change this account is so tempting. And I'm kind of running out of champions that I'm like super excited to build that I haven't actually pulled yet. I've got a Morag who's definitely going to get built, although with Podrick, Morag becomes a little less important. Still good. And then I've got Sabbatha, but again, I'm saving her for some champ chase points. So we'll see. The good news is with that fusion, I can maybe go ham in the next champion chase. I think it's going to be voids. So actually can pull all of my voids on a 2x void as well. So that could be very, very helpful. So let us go pull some ancients. I'm going to pull one at a time until I hit gold. Hopefully I get gold in the first shard, and then I can save some of these and maybe I still do the fusion. Hello, game. There we go. All right. Tribuck Colwyn. I don't know much about him. Is that an AoE? That's not an AoE. That's an AoE. Okay, he might be kept for having rares and factions. That's the other thing too. I can certainly use some rares in some factions. There's a couple of factions I don't have some rares in. So good faction wars champions or just good general champions to kind of hold on to the account will be good. Some of these may end up as chickens. That's fine. Like this one's probably going to be a chicken. I don't think he has any AoEs. Nope, he is all single target, so he is probably food. Lamellar, I've got a Lamellar already that I was holding on to because he does have an AoE here, so that means I can feed another one of them. That's fine. Ooh, Marquess. I like Marquess. This is a great pull. I'm actually excited to get a Marquess, which sounds really weird because she's a rare. But she's got an A1 decrease attack. Yeah, it's not the greatest one. It's not got a great chance of landing. I'm not too worried about it. She's got an A3 that hits fairly hard that has a chance to freeze. This can be very good. Obviously, books up better. This here is a 3-turn cooldown unbooked, which is actually really good. I didn't realize this was unbooked 3-turn cooldown. 35% chance of placing weaken goes up to a 50% chance. And then once it's ascended, has a extra chance of dealing damage to champions with weaken. So basically, she has a single hit that is really hard, and if there's weaken on all the champions that she hits, she does a second hit that is harder. And she's a defense-based champion, so she's very easy to build for nukage. I actually have a 1-star soul for her that I just have sitting around that I pulled. So I'm actually super excited to get a Marquess. She will actually help my demons quite well. She's definitely going to go all the way to 5-star at some point in time. She'll probably go to 4-star pretty quickly right now. And she will definitely help my demons progress. And I've actually used Marquess in endgame teams on Demon Spawn because she's a good affinity to have and she does a bunch of damage. So very, very good pull. I'm super excited about that. Feels weird being excited about wearers, but that's, that's the free-to-play life. At least the early game life, I should say. Preserver, not particularly exciting. She throws some shields and continuous heals up. She's got an A1 freeze. Just not a great champion. Probably going to be food. That's not an apothecary. I would have been super excited if that's not an apothecary. That is, however, the Glam Shot King Magister. Remind me to show you that if I get a chance, but he looks like he's taken a glam shot in his profile picture. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, not great here. Revive on death, not great. AoE attack with heal reduction, okay, not great. He's the bad affinity for the champion, the boss you need heal reduction for as well. Probably food. I've got some decent rare elves already, so I don't think I need to save him for anything important. There's an epic. All Geo all the time. Let's go. This is absolutely hilarious. I will probably at some point in time invest in a second Geomancer. 2 Geomancers can be very useful for your account because you can tune them for different things. And honestly, having 2 of them, for example, will actually help me in Hydra. But I'm certainly not going to book my second Geo very early, so the second one's not going to be booked. He's probably not going to get beyond 5 stars. But Geo is a great champion. I love this dude. We've got the HP burn here that allows you to reflect damage. You've got a buff. Excuse me. You've got a buff removal that can become a buff steal if they're under HP burn that he placed. And again, this actually is a steel turn meter as well, too. And it provides weaken, so great. And then an AoE decrease attack. Just for this being an A1 AoE, he's probably worth throwing some gear on in Faction Wars. That can be very, very helpful. That's one of the reasons that my Dwarf Faction Wars is doing as well as it is. So getting Geomancer here, weird pull. I certainly would have preferred another interesting and useful epic that I didn't already have. But I'll take a second Geomancer. Plus, this will actually give me extra HP on all my Dwarf epics because I can now put them in Faction Guardians. So that's an amazing pull. Not the one I was looking for, but I'll take it. Tree Feller, not particularly exciting. I think she might be a rosin epic, so maybe I'll hold on her for that, but doesn't do anything particularly exciting. That is a Stout Axeman. All right. This is actually good just because I need a rare for the dwarves, so I will definitely keep a rare for the dwarves at the very least. That's one of the things I'm really trying to do is keep champions, keep a rare in every faction if I can. So reflect damage on this champion. If he's ascended, it's a reflect damage in a random ally and a place random chance of placing provoke on 2 random enemies, and then an A1. This is not a good rare. This is a rare that I would only keep for the rare quest and would feed otherwise. He is really not good. There, that is a rare worth keeping. Master Butcher doesn't look like a lot early on, but Master Butcher is going to be key for me in the next Doom Tower rotation. This guy is going to 5 stars pretty quickly on my account because the next Doom Tower rotation, I am going to need him. Why am I super excited about him? Well, he does have a provoke, and it is just place a provoke. So it doesn't. I don't even have to book this. Now booking this gets into a 4-turn cooldown rather than a 5, so it may get booked anyway. That's good. I've got some rare books. Get an A1 that has a chance to provoke as well. Nothing super exciting, but he can be a provoker in Hydra for me. Early on, you need anything for provoke, so this is actually really good. His passive here, when attacked, heals all allies equal to the amount of damage taken, will not work against bosses. He does need to get this booked, so that's kind of important. Um, this is basically a Vogoth light. And what this does is when the bombs go off against Bommel, he takes the damage and then heals everybody else on your team. So he mitigates a lot of that damage on Bommel that is making Bommel very, very difficult to beat. Now, the good news is they've nerfed early Bommel, so the early Bommel stages aren't as hard as they used to be, but that doesn't mean he's going to be any less useful. And that passive makes him kind of useful in a couple of other areas as well. Finally, he has a revives a random ally with full HP when this champion is killed. So the final win for him is if he's actually provoked and he's constantly taking damage and he's healing people and then he finally dies, well, he revives somebody else, which can keep you going in fights where all you need to do is win. And it can keep you, give you a shot to possibly get your reviver if your reviver passed away before he did. Your reviver gets picked back up by him, and then the reviver picks him back up as well. So good rare. I am excited for him. I even use him on my main occasionally in some weird stuff. So super excited. He's going to be helpful on this account for a while. That is Adjudicator, not particularly interesting. Single target, single target, single target. You're probably being fed. Madman got nerfed, which is pretty rare for a rare. It's pretty rare for anybody, but he actually got nerfed somewhat recently. 50% chance of affecting all other enemies with a second hit, dealing 30% of the damage inflicted on the first hit. Second hit will always be a normal hit. Okay. He had a splash damage or secondary hit that would always critical, so he could basically critical on extra damage and magnify his damage. So that's what he was probably doing. Attacks all enemies, heals this champion by 10% of the damage inflicted if the champion's current HP is below 50%. That's not too bad. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 30% of target's defense, will ignore damage and shield buffs. He's not bad. I may keep him to build out a dwarf team because he looks like he's got some general utility, but he's probably not an end game champion on this account. Headsman, attacks all enemies, puts heal reduction on. AoE attack doesn't suck. Inflicts 15% more damage on your targets under heal reduction debuffs, but that's just him. You got to build him for damage. Not particularly great. Now, Polarium, I would definitely appreciate a legendary on this. That was the entire point of this exercise. That said, I have gotten some very interesting and useful rares. What I would actually really like is if you're going to give me a rare or going to give me an epic, I would actually appreciate a Shadowkin because my Shadowkins are absolutely atrocious and I really could use one. So, legendary or Shadowkin, let's go. That is neither. Wyvern Bane may end up sticking around just because that gives me a 5th orc. Because right now I've been using Warboy or whatever random food I have as the 5th orc, and my Orc Faction Wars has actually been doing fairly well. So, HP burn, not the worst thing, not a 100% chance, not booking her. Decreased turn meter could be useful. Again, not booking her, but usable. And decreased speed. Okay. Be okay for the boss. This might help me get past stage 14 in orcs. Probably not a major keeper, but some interesting stuff. So there we go. We should definitely go into the Guardian Ring and do Faction Guardians and get my first Faction Guardians that I can ever get. We have a dupe Geomancer. So there we go. That is what happens when you pull shards and you're not near Mercy. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised. We got one epic and it was a duplicate, but it was a duplicate Geo, so I guess I can't complain too much. But I got a few good rares. I am kind of excited of where this will help me take the account. It gives me a little bit of breathing room. And to be fair, it gives me a little bit of breathing room to know that I don't have to push for the next fusion. And we'll see. I'm still going to probably push a few things for the fusion to get some of those fragments. Doing some of those events is generally a good idea anyway. And if I can actually get close, then maybe I push and actually do the fusion. And if I'm not getting close, that's fine as well. So appreciate you guys hanging around. Thank you for supporting the free-to-play. Thank you for supporting my channel. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. You guys are amazing as always. Hopefully your shard pulls are giving you amazing results. And until the next video, I'm Bront CatHerder.